Every December felt the same. The world wrapped itself in gold ribbons and laughter, while I sat in my small apartment, waiting for a message that never came. The glow of the Christmas lights outside my window flickered against the cold glass, painting my walls with colors that belonged to someone else's joy. Every year I told myself not to expect anything. Every year I lied. By the second week of December, my sister usually posted photos of her family dinner prep. My brother uploaded stories of his kids decorating the tree at our parents' house. I watched it all quietly, my thumb pausing over the like button, hesitating, as if clicking it meant I was part of it somehow. They never mentioned me. They never called. They never remembered that I existed. When I was younger, I used to believe it was an accident, that maybe the message got lost, or that Mom thought I was busy, or that someone simply forgot to add me to the group chat. But it wasn't an accident. It happened too many times to be one. It was a choice. The silence became tradition. I used to sit by my small artificial tree on Christmas Eve, phone in hand, pretending not to care while my heart ached with a kind of loneliness words couldn't hold. I'd bake cookies I didn't eat, wrap gifts for no one, and hum along to carols that felt like a cruel reminder of what I'd lost. This year, though, something was different. When I saw the first snowfall in late November, a thought slipped into my mind, quiet, small, but impossible to ignore. What if I stopped waiting? For the first time, I didn't check my phone every hour. I didn't stalk their social media, didn't scroll through their smiles trying to imagine what it felt like to belong. Instead, I started walking in the evenings, letting the cold air sting my cheeks, watching families through glowing windows, feeling both sad and strangely free. By mid-December, I knew the truth. My family would forget, again, and I decided that this time I wouldn't be home to notice. I spent my evenings looking at mountain cabins online, snow, covered roofs, fireplaces with soft amber light, tall pine trees whispering through the wind. Something about those pictures felt right, like a place I could breathe without waiting for permission. And that night, without overthinking it, I did something I'd never done before. I clicked buy now, a cabin on Silver Pine Mountain. Mine, as the confirmation email arrived. I smiled, not the fragile, forced smile I'd worn every Christmas, but a real one. For the first time, I wasn't waiting for an invitation. I was writing my own. The first night in my mountain house was silent in a way that felt alive. The wind moved softly through the pines, whispering against the glass like it wanted to be let in. The fireplace crackled, casting gold light over the wooden walls. I stood there barefoot, watching the flames and wondering how it had taken me 32 years to realize that peace could sound like this. But peace had a price, and mine had been years of being unseen. When I was little, I used to follow my siblings around like a shadow. Emma, the oldest, was the golden child, smart, confident, the one who always knew what to say. Daniel was the charmer, the life of every room. And then there was me, quiet, bookish, and too sensitive, as Mom liked to say. I never meant to be the forgotten one. I just didn't shine the way they did. It started small. I wasn't included in conversations, wasn't told about family plans until the last minute. Then one year, when I was 20, we had a fight. I told Mom I couldn't come to Christmas dinner because my job had scheduled me for a double shift. She accused me of choosing work over family. I tried to explain that rent didn't pay itself, but she only sighed and said, "You always find excuses, Evelyn." After that, the invitation stopped altogether. Every December, I waited for the olive branch that never came. And when I reached out, the replies were polite but distant. "Oh, we thought you were busy again, or we didn't want to bother you." Somehow, I was always the problem, but as I stood in that quiet cabin, those old wounds didn't ache as sharply. Maybe because the air was cleaner here, maybe because I finally had something that was mine. The cabin had been my grandmother's once, at least, that's what the letter from her lawyer had said. She'd left it to me in her will, along with a short note written in her careful, looping handwriting. For the one who is always left out, find your own warmth, sweetheart. Love, Grandma June. I cried when I read it. She'd seen me, even when no one else did. I spent the next few days fixing up the cabin, hanging soft lights around the windows, baking cinnamon bread that filled the rooms with comfort. I didn't decorate for anyone else this time. It was all for me, and for the first time in my life, Christmas didn't feel like something I was missing. It felt like something I had built with my own hands. The week before Christmas arrived with heavy snow and colder nights. Silver Pine Mountain looked like something out of a postcard, the trees draped in white, the sky painted soft gray. I woke every morning to silence, the kind that wraps around you and says, "You're safe here." My phone stayed still on the kitchen counter. No calls, no texts, no invitations. I didn't expect any, not this year. Emma had posted a photo of her kids wearing matching pajamas, captioned, "Can't wait for our annual Carter Christmas. Family time is everything." Daniel had commented with heart emojis. I scrolled past it without a pause. The sting that used to come with those posts was gone. In its place was something calmer. Acceptance, maybe. Or something stronger, freedom. Instead of waiting, I started planning a celebration of my own. Not for revenge at first, but because I wanted warmth in this place, laughter that belonged to me. There was Mrs. Thompson, my 70-year-old neighbor who lived half a mile down the mountain. She'd lost her husband last spring. Then there was Maya, a single mom from work, too broke to travel home for the holidays, and little Ben, her son, who still believed Santa could find them anywhere. I invited them, along with a few others who had become quiet fixtures in my life, people who, like me, had spent too many Christmases being forgotten. I sent messages that read, "Christmas Eve dinner at my mountain cabin. Warm food, real smiles, and no judgment. Come if you need a place to belong." Every reply came back the same yes. On Christmas Eve, the cabin glowed with light and life. Laughter bounced off the walls, the scent of cinnamon and roasted turkey filled the air, and I realized how full my heart felt. It wasn't the noise of a big family or the pressure to pretend. It was real, genuine. As I poured cocoa for Ben, my phone rang an unknown number. I almost ignored it until a voice I knew too well came through, sharp and frantic. "Evelyn, thank God. It's Emma. Our car broke down on the mountain road. We were headed to the lodge, but the storm hit harder than expected. The kids are freezing. Can we stay with you tonight?" For a moment, I said nothing. I looked around at the cozy cabin, at the people who had come into my life without judgment or expectations. Then I smiled softly. "Of course," I said, "come on over. The door's open." But this time, it wasn't for the same family I used to wait for. It was for the person I had become. The knock came just after midnight. The storm howled outside, snow swirling against the porch light. When I opened the door, the wind carried in my sister's voice, breathless, half frozen, and uncertain. "Evelyn," Emma said, her cheeks flushed from the cold. Behind her stood Daniel, his wife, and their 2 kids, all bundled in thick coats, their eyes wide at the sight of my cabin, glowing like a lantern in the dark. "Come in," I said quietly. "You must be freezing." They stumbled inside, stamping snow off their boots, looking around at the laughter and warmth that filled the room. Maya was helping Mrs. Thompson serve dessert, Ben was showing everyone the snowman he built earlier, and Christmas music played softly from an old speaker. It wasn't a grand party, but it was alive. For a moment, my family just stood there, speechless. "Wow," Daniel muttered. "You've really made a place for yourself here." Emma's eyes darted between the guests. "We didn't realize you had plans." I smiled politely. I usually don't, but this year felt different. They sat awkwardly by the fire, warming their hands while my guests continued their cheerful conversations. Nobody asked who they were, and that somehow made it sweeter. They were just part of the crowd now, not the center of it. When Mrs. Thompson handed Emma a cup of cocoa, she said, "You have a lovely sister. She's been a blessing to all of us up here." Emma blinked, caught off guard. I looked away, pretending not to notice. Dinner was quiet for them. Every so often, I caught Daniel glancing at me, as if trying to read the person I'd become. They were used to the Evelyn who sat at the edge of every family photo, quiet and invisible, the Evelyn who apologized for existing. But that woman was gone. After dessert, Emma finally spoke. "Evelyn, we should have invited you all those years. I don't know why we didn't. It wasn't fair." I nodded slowly. No, it wasn't. Silence settled between us, heavy but clean. There was no anger left in me, just distance. The kind that comes when you've already forgiven someone, but you no longer need them. When they left the next morning, the snow had stopped. I stood on the porch as their car disappeared down the winding road, the sun glinting off the mountains. Inside, the house was quiet again, but not empty. It was full of something new, peace. I poured myself a cup of coffee, looked out at the glittering snow, and whispered, "Merry Christmas, Evelyn. You finally made it home."